interrupt your regular programming with a live report from senior correspondent Sean Burns.
I'm live from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, where we've just learned there may be a seismic shift in administration policy. Sources tell us that President Trump has just approved what many say may be the one thing that could bring our divided country together. I must caution viewers that the shocking nature of this report may result in vertigo, heart failure, or temporary loss of sanity. Furthermore, this could also be considered fake news, a shiny new object, a diversion, or merely someone's sick idea of a joke.
Many say our country has reached a constitutional crisis, and while we won't debate that, it's clear that we have reached a crisis in education. With school closings, dropouts, and students protesting because their needs aren't met, we've reached a tipping point. It appears as though our Commander-in-Chief has decided to follow the advice of new experts and decided to spend less on the wall to prevent marauding invasions by very bad people and more on education. In an exclusive first, we've just obtained the following images, which experts tell us outline this new administration policy. These leaked images outline the significant, thoughtful, and clearly thought-out approach to truly making a difference in the future of our country.
This change apparently will focus on recruitment, retention, and revenue. I've just been informed that our producer has just patched in renowned Harvard professor, Dr. Harv Ardu'edu. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be of service. I truly am. And if your data and if your reporting is indeed accurate, this will create shockwaves throughout the world of learning, of higher learning, of learning all around the world. And yes, recruitment and retention and ultimately revenue are indeed three critical areas that institutions must, absolutely must tackle, and they must do so aggressively and successfully. They must tackle them to ensure that we continue to be the beacon of light that the world looks to. So I'll address each briefly, and I know I tend to kind of rattle on and digress because I'm going up in there in 9 years, but I'll try and hit those points real quick, and I'm going to try and do it in such a way that the majority of the American viewing audience will understand what I'm saying. And my apologies that I'm not able to provide an illustrated cartoon drawing to help people consume my data points, but not time for that. So first, when we think about recruitment, let's just think about, for the layman out there, it might be best to think of a fishing analogy. You have to cast something that's attractive, appealing, something that all the fish want to consume. And this, of course, the law of probabilities, this increases the odds of what I'm told is referred to as landing a fish or fish on. So furthermore, the more fish you attract, the more you can throw back, and which will either fall to the bottom and be eaten by other fish, or the more you can land and bring home that bacon. So much in the same way, it may be a little bit of a stretch, but much in the same way, students today, they want certain things to consume. And one key component that attracts students today is technology. And in fact, you may be shocked to learn, as I was, but data doesn't lie, that over 90%, in fact 97% of high school students indicate that technology plays a pivotal role in learning and in deciding which school they want to attend. In fact, it's not just technology. If we look at just technology, we're kind of missing the whole big picture, the whole boat, if you will, the fishing boat. So yes, things like iPads in classrooms are cool, but think of technology more as the subfloor that empowers the entire experience. An experience that's part and parcel to every moment, every crucial moment that a student is living on campus, off campus, online, or heaven forbid, even offline. So let's think about, how does this student envision his or her day beyond just what we think that they're there for, beyond just learning. Things that sometimes when you take it on their own, one experience on its own, and you take it at face value, just that experience, it may seem meaningless, and it may be, but let's take an example as just paying for a meal. Again, on its own, it's something you could do anywhere. A cheeseburger, some fish, chips, fries, whatever you want. You're not even going to give a second thought to it. However, when you combine that with other services a student can consume, pardon the pun, on a day-to-day basis, services such as vending, laundry, athletic events, bookstores, sometimes, transportations, library, well, the list goes on. And you begin to see the power of how providing them with what they want all together, how they want it, when they want it, and seamlessly and in a way that they want it. It looks as good as them newfangled technologies out there that are all smooth and flashy and LED lights and just feel good, and well, you know what I'm saying. But at that point it becomes truly powerful for those students and for learning. Ultimately, it's enticing, it's appetizing, and again alluring. And what do you know? It's fish on. So here's a rhetorical question for you as I'm trying to wrap up and taking a long time in doing so. How can you live on less than half the fish you need to keep from starving? Is that possible? Can you really sustain in doing that? How can your institutions of greater learning continue to thrive if we're unable to retain students? If we don't keep up with them? If we don't stay ahead of them? Now I've used up about all the oxygen in this fishing analogy. Yes, that's kind of a fishing analogy too. So let's just stick to the facts. Institutions cannot survive on retention rates of less than 30%. It's just not possible. So what's the answer? We must retain them, engage them. We need to get to know their every need, their every want. We need to anticipate those needs, those wants. We need to know them better than they know themselves. Because it's not that hard to do. And if you have the right tools, it's even easier to do. So you need to beat them to the punch before they even ask for it. So they don't even think about it, because sometimes, frankly, they don't want to think. So when you walk around campus, and where you once saw them smiling faces looking back at you, well, now you see the tops of heads. And darn it, if they're not often running into you, they don't say sorry. They don't even say anything. They just keep going and maybe grunt. Can you tell me why that is? I don't know. But I do think it's those darn mobile phones that they have in their hands, and they might as well be planted in their brains. Just one more appendage on their body, or somehow tied in there. I don't know. But here's a novel concept for you. One that I've read is just now beginning to make a tremendous impact of select students at select institutions. Let them keep their heads down. You're not going to change that. Let their phones continue to be those appendages. Don't swim upstream. Again, fishing analogy. But let them do that every day of their lives, every minute, every aspect of their lives. And in fact, I read the other day that Duke University, which is a fine, fine institution, and this kind of made me chuckle a little bit, students can use their mobile phones to gain access to their restrooms. Who in the world would have thought of that? Well, I'll tell you who. The university. They partnered.
And they partnered with a good company, a company I've been following for 13 years now, over 13. It's a company called Blackboard. And it sounds kind of counterintuitive, I guess, because blackboards, while I love them, I miss them. They're a little outdated. But this company, even with that outdated name, is doing some amazing things. And you really don't have to be a Harvard graduate to know what an engaged student wants and what an engaged student is and how intimately tied to that campus that student could be and what that student will do. If a student is truly engaged in living and enjoying and interacting and socializing and creating experiences that they will never forget, well, they will stay on campus and they will learn. We will do our jobs. We will do what we're here to do. We will teach them. And some might say big brother, but we will track them too. Yeah, we will. We will track them. And you've probably heard the term helicopter parents, and well, I'd say it's time for the education community to get on that chopper, if you get my drift. You know where they eat. We can know where they eat, when they eat, what they eat. Do they sleep? Maybe not always. Do they study? Sometimes. Do they learn? Hopefully. Do they interact? Do they act suspiciously? Do they feel safe? What keeps them up at night aside from the obvious? Do they attend class? Well, we can find out. Are they engaged? Are we engaging them? Can we engage them to help them become the best that they can be? Can we bring to bear predictive analytics and data that is there for the taking and use that data and turn it into something really powerful and meaningful? And in their minds, they want it all. And they want to know that they're getting a good deal, because they'll get on that googly thing and they'll see what someone's doing there, what they're paying here, and can I get a coupon, and you know, mom and dad are paying, but what the hell, I love a good deal. So that brings me to my third pillar, and that's revenue. And the math is really simple, even for a non-mathematician. Almost 50% of alumni don't transfer. Well, I guess often they do and often they drop out. But those that don't transfer, that they stay in that school, in that institution, well, they donate in some form. And the statistics show, sorry, I'm getting a little long-winded and a little long in the tooth these days, but the statistics show that many campuses could gain an additional $500,000 a year if they're attracting, retaining, engaging, and allowing students to have the services that they want, expect, and need, and anticipate those needs, and get them to graduate, and get them into successful occupations, so that they can generate some money and give it back to the institution. So I could go on, but I'm running late, and I'm sure you're probably thinking, when is this old man going to stop talking? And that'd be right about now, because I hear the trout are biting, and I can't wait to try out this new lure that I made.
Well, thank you, Dr. Harv Ardu'edu. That was much more than expected, and we appreciate your insights and your time. Again, Sean Burns reporting live from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.